Hello and welcome to Relatively Crafty, a knitting podcast. I'm your host Christy. I come to you from the Denver area of Colorado, where I live with my husband Ron, our two daughters Tatum and Delaney, our tuxedo kitty Lilu, and our Podango puppy Sophie. Welcome. Today is Sunday, February 9th. And normally I don't podcast on Sundays because we have a busy day with church, and then I do my grocery shopping on Sundays, and we just kind of get things ready for the week. But we are kind of snowed in today, so the roads. Let's see, the snow was really bad on Friday. Through Friday night, we woke up yesterday, and there was loads of snow everywhere. But it got really warm yesterday, up to like 50. So a lot of it melted, although there's still a lot everywhere there, but there was a lot of melted snow, which meant that last night when it froze again and started snowing again, there is a layer of ice and then snow on top of that, which makes the roads very dangerous. And it just makes it more difficult to do things. So we were given kind of a forewarning for our church because the church is in a great location, but its parking lot is always in the shade. So it's icy even weeks after snow, but it would be even worse today. And so we all opted to kind of just stay home. I don't think I'm even going to go grocery shopping today. We're just going to kind of take today as a snow day. And that has worked out really well for me, actually, because I've gotten some things accomplished so that I could podcast with you guys today. So, yay. I do have some FOs. Oh, I'm sorry. If you are looking for me, I am Cristi-Lael on Ravelry and Cristi-Lael without the dash on Instagram. And yeah, this is a knitting podcast, and I'm going to show you a couple of FOs and some whips and some future projects, a very small amount of stash and enhancements or yarn haul, whatever you want to do it, and a little bit about books. So let's get into it. Start with my first FO. I think I have two. Yeah, two. I finished a pair of socks. You guys might recall these from the last podcast. I was just in love with these. I still am in love with these. And I'm really glad that I'm finally podcasting, although it hasn't been that long. But these have been done for about a week or so. And I don't wear... I was going to say I don't wear my knits until they get podcast about, but that is not entirely true. I don't wear socks and hats and stuff like that until I podcast about them. I do wear sweaters when I finish them because I'm too excited not to wear them. But anyway, this is a pair of socks that I knit for myself. It is knit out of Grundle Hot Socks Grundle Hot Socks Diamonds Mint Merino. I think the colorway is 5, but it is on my project page. All of my information is on my project page, by the way, so if you want to confirm that it is 5, then then you can look there. I knit these using my normal recipe, and you'll notice that they don't match. I mean, they match, but they don't match. They each start in a different spot in the sequence, and the reason for that is because these come in 2 50-gram balls, and there isn't enough for me to, because the color repeat is so long, really isn't enough for me to start at the same spot on the second sock, and I don't mind that they don't match, so that works out well for me. But I used my regular recipe, a Turkish toe cast on toe up. I did a fish lips kiss heel. I did 1x1 ribbing with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. And yeah, I really love the way that they turned out. I found that I seem to be making the legs of my socks a little bit longer lately. Not sure why. It's not something that I'm really doing consciously. I'm just kind of just keep knitting until I feel like the sock is long enough, and then I start the ribbing. And with my own socks, it just kind of varies sometimes. So these are a little bit longer. yeah, now I can wear them. A couple of people asked me where I bought this yarn because it is not it's not real easy to get a hold of in the United States. I did find it on a website called hotyarns.com, I believe. And I actually just looked recently because I was looking to buy some more. They still have some. I don't know if they have this colorway, but they do have a decent amount of grundle to choose from. And so I think that might be. I don't know that I know of another U.S. retailer that that sells it. I think that Ravelry got rid of their purchase options tab, or they have moved it, and I haven't been able to find it. It used to be that when you went to the yarn page, up at the top, you know, where it's like, it's got the stashes and the projects and the comments and the details, and pattern ideas. It used to have purchase options, and it would link you to all kinds of different stores that were outside of the United States, or I guess outside of your country, and then ones that were inside your country, and you could price check and just find out where it was available online. I couldn't find that with grundle, so I don't know if it's gone for all yarns, or if it's just they gone for grundle, or what. I'm kind of bummed if Ravelry got rid of that, because I did use that decently enough to find yarns that I wanted. But like I said, you can find it on hotyarns.com. If I've got that wrong, I'm gonna put it down here, but I'm pretty sure it's hotyarns.com. Okay, and then my other FO is dun 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 dun, my Hippo sweater. It's finally done, guys. It took me entirely too long to knit this. I think I started it in November of 2018, and I figured it was going to be a pretty quick knit because it was stockinette, it was DK weight, basic top-down raglan, super easy, mindless knitting. I could, once you take the arms, the sleeves off, the body is just round and round and round in stockinette and no problem. But I stalled on this several times, and it's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. It used to be that when I was a stay-at-home mom, I didn't get burned out very often because I had lots of time. Really miss all the time that I had. I had a lot of time, even with my kids, even before they started school. I still had a decent amount of time, nap time, and after they went to bed, and time when they were just playing, or that kind of thing. And then now I have, I get home from work, and between work and bedtime I have maybe 4 hours. And in that time, I have to, of course, interact with my family. I have to help my children with their homework. I have to make dinner. I have to clean up whatever. I have to take my shower. I have to get things ready for work the next day. So yeah, I'm limited on my knitting time. And sometimes I find that I have only managed to knit 2 or 3 rows on a sock. So because of that, I find that I get burned out on projects because they take longer. And this was a perfect example of that. I just got tired of it. So set it down several times, and even after finishing the first sleeve, I set it down for another month before I started the second sleeve. But that's so funny because it took me forever to get going on the sleeves in general, and then it took me almost as long to start the second sleeve. I knit the second sleeve in one day. It was the Saturday before Super Bowl. So what was that, last Saturday? And I sat down. I was like, I'm going to get this done before I go back to work on Monday. And by the time I went to bed Saturday night, I had, I don't know, maybe just the ribbing left to do on the cuff. maybe a couple of inches, and then the ribbing left to do. So I knit almost the entire sleeve in one day. I had it finished by Sunday morning, so it was like 24 hours. And yeah. And then I went over, as a mature, responsible knitter, I took it with me to my parents' house for Super Bowl Sunday, and I sat down and I wove in every single one of the ends before I knit anything else. Because I seriously gave thought of, I've got the knitting done, let me set it aside for a little bit, and I'll weave in the ends later. But I didn't. I was responsible. I wove in all those ends, and I blocked it that night, and doggone it, I wore it to work on Tuesday. So anyway, here it is. If you have not been with the podcast for very long, then I can tell you that I knit this out of all of the leftovers from all of the Hippo for the Holidays colorways that were dyed by Lolo Did It. This is all in her plush sock base. She has run a knit along for the past this is the 4th year now, where she dyes these yarns that are Hippo for whatever. It's based on Hippo for, I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. So the first one was Hippo for Christmas, and then it just grew from there. So there's Hippo for Valentine's, Hippo for St. Patty's, Hippo for Mother's Day, Hippo for Father's Day, Hippo for birthdays. She even does now a Hippo for each of the seasons. And in 2017, I did the cowl. I did 12 different projects. Most of them were socks. Some of them were cowls. I did a hat. I did a pair of gloves. And then 2018, I did it again, but I did all socks for me. Whereas with 2017, I'd given gifts away. And I did contrasting heels and toes, which meant that I'd only used like half of the skein, thereabouts. So I had 2 years worth of half skeins. I did the cowl again last year in 2019, but I used her DK weight yarn and made hats. So I didn't use any of that for this sweater, but I did use all of the leftovers. I had something like 3,200 yards of leftover partial and half skeins, mostal skeins of Hippo colorways, and I decided to just put them all together. I held them double to make a DK weight yarn, and I made a top-down raglan. And it is all the colors all mixed together. There is no rhyme or reason. I just kind of mixed them around, and whatever was handy when I changed colors is the one that I knit with next. So yeah, the sleeves, I think the sleeves are probably my favorite. They don't match at all. You can see there's no, I mean, except for the gray, there's no similarity. I made the cuffs extra long because I'm wearing it with a rolled cuff or folded cuff like that, which I really like. And yeah, I used up most of it. I did have some left over. I did not have to break into the 2 skeins, 2 full skeins that I still have up there. I had, you know what, I'd say maybe about a skein and a half fully left over. Maybe not quite as much. Skein and a quarter, something like that, in 4 different colorways. And I have since sent those on to a friend who is very interested in trying out the Hippo colorways and has gotten some herself, wanted to know if she could talk me out of the leftovers, and I was happy to send them on. I think that I have gotten my money's worth out of those skeins, and it was time to say goodbye to knitting Hippos for a while. As I said, I do have still 2 skeins upstairs, I almost said, up there where I keep my sock yarn, and I will be getting another skein as the prize for doing the Hippo for the Holidays in 2019, but I will be getting that in a DK or a worsted weight, which I will use probably for a hat at another time. But the gals at Lolo Did It have a special colorway for those who have done the cal for the year. I got it last year, and I'm wondering if it's the same colorway. Totally fine if it is, but that's one of the other reasons why I went with the DK weight instead of the sock weight, because I didn't want two of the same skein. So anyway, yes, all done. I have worn it most every day since. It's so comfortable. It's warm, but not over hot, so I can wear it without having to put on another coat to work. I mean, just for my drive to work. And then wear it most all day long, kind of at work. It's very, very comfortable, and it fits nicely. The only thing I might have done was I might have made it a little bit longer. And that's interesting because I did lengthen it originally. I had started it when we were on our way to Utah in October. I was already on the ribbing, and I was just going to finish up the ribbing, and I decided to go ahead and rip back and lengthen the body a little bit. I think I lengthened it by an inch or two. Really glad that I did, because I could have probably used another inch or two. It fits fine, but it's just like my t-shirts sometimes are longer than the sweater, so I wouldn't mind if it was just a tiny bit longer, but it's fine. It's super comfortable, and I love it to death, and I'm so glad it's done. And yes, it is exactly what I wanted, so I'm very happy with it. I should have posted some pictures of me wearing it. I've struggled getting a good picture. When I first wore it, I took a picture at work, in the bathroom, because that's classy, and it was fine, but it didn't really show off all the colors. And then yesterday I tried to get Delaney to take another picture of me, but the sun was very bright and the snow was very deep, and it was difficult to do, but I did get some in, so hopefully you've seen those. And that is all of the whips. I do have some, I'm sorry, that is all of the FOs. I do have some whips. Actually, I have a hoe I can show you. I have one finished sock here. This is one of my Christmas colorways. I'm knitting the 31 pairs of Christmas socks, an idea that I stole from Amy Florence, shamelessly. Here is one of the pair. This yarn is Lolo Did It in the plush sock. A lot of Lolo Did It. I've done a lot of Lolo Did It over the past 3 years. But this was given to me by my uncle for Christmas 2 years ago. And the colorway is Cornucopia. So it kind of is a Thanksgiving into Christmas type of a colorway. The heel, you can see, looks very Christmassy, but when you add in the other colors, it kind of varies a little bit from the traditional red and green of Christmas, but I do like it. So I have the first one done, as I said, and I am ready to start the heel on the second sock. So we were at a dinner party last night, and I got this far on it. Made quite a lot of progress on it, actually, at the dinner party. We were playing games, and they were games that allowed me to knit as well. And so anyway, I am at the exact row where I need to start turning the heel. So I will get that done hopefully today, and then finish this sock up this week. That should be the deal. And then I think I might take a break from some Christmas socks. I don't know. At least it's not going to be my next 2 pairs of socks. But I'm not exactly sure how long of the break I will take. I do enjoy knitting the Christmas socks, but I also enjoy knitting my other yarn. So, yeah. I like to have 2 pairs of socks going at any one time. I like to keep one attached to my purse, and then I work on it during my lunch break. And if I'm found myself sitting waiting for something at a store or in a meeting or something like that, at an appointment, I keep that one with me, and then I try to keep one kind of by my spot on the couch, you know, well, if I'm really tired and I don't really want to focus on something bigger, I will work on a sock there. So I like to keep two going. So the second one I have isn't very far. This one has been my work sock. I've got that much done, a little bit more than the toe. This might look a little wonky, and that is because it is a sock blank. The yarn is hedgerow yarns. Yeah, hedgerow yarns. The colorway is, oh, it doesn't have a colorway. It's just sparkly sock blank. So it's a 75 merino, 20% nylon, 5% silver stellina sock blank, and I don't want to unroll all of it, but it looks like that. And so yeah, I decided to just grab something that looked interesting at that exact moment. I am a very much mood knitter, and so that looked interesting at the exact moment when I wanted to start another sock, and so I grabbed it and have been knitting on it. This will be a pair of socks for me. Once I finish that Christmas sock, they'll probably move away from my purse and onto the couch. The purse knitting doesn't get touched as much because it's often just, you know, 10 minutes at lunchtime and, you know, the odd appointment here and there. So, so I kind of like to rotate things through. And I have one more whip. This was the thing that I was working on today. And that is my Taiga sweater. Taiga looks like this. It is a pattern by Svetlana Volkova, and I have had it in my queue for years and years. Bought the yarn for it in 2018, I believe. I gotta sneeze. Nope. And decided to finally go ahead and cast it on. So I made my way through the raglan sleeves, raglan increases very quickly, and then stalled out a little bit on the color work. But I have finished the color work as of like 20 minutes ago. So here is the raglan, and there is the color work. Let's see, you can put it on the back so you can. There you can see it. It's a little uneven currently because it needs to be blocked. I am not one of those knitters who can knit color work and have it look perfect from the get-go. My color work needs blocking before it looks smooth enough, but it doesn't look too bad, I guess. So that is the color work done. So now, as you can see from the picture, I have just basic one color to do. I'm going to put some sleeves in and do the ribbing, and that should all run very fast because this is super bulky yarn, and I'm knitting it on size 10s. The yarn I am using is Hayfield Super Chunky with wool. It is a wool acrylic blend. It's 80% acrylic and 20% wool. Kind of would have rather had it the other way around, but I wanted it to be something that I could afford. And the colorways are just, it's a very red and a very purple. Yeah, I was afraid that I wasn't going to have quite enough contrast for the color work, but I think that contrasts lovely. So, yeah, I don't remember which one's which, but one is shade 59 and one is shade 701. And it's a pleasant yarn to work with. I will say that I did find a decent amount of knots in the skeins. Like, several skeins had at least one knot. I know that is considered acceptable by an industry standard, but I get a little, I guess I get spoiled by indie dyed yarns, because most often indie dyed yarns are not, they don't have knots. That is not always the case, but it is often the case. So a little bit of notes about this. You might notice that it is knit flat until I get to the color work, and then I did it in the round. My plan is to steek it. So here is my steek section. I will, sorry, this is really awkward. I will sew the steek on either side here and cut it up the middle. And I bound off the steek right there, so the rest of the sweater will be knit flat as well. And another thing, I think I talked about this in my last podcast, but I wasn't sure. The pattern is obviously written for short sleeves. I wasn't sure how I felt about short sleeves, but I couldn't remember if I had bought enough yarn to make long sleeves. And so I kept saying, well, I would just figure it out when I got there. But I, now having gone through the entire color work section, the rest of the sweater is, as you can see, is going to be in the purple. I've basically done all the red except for what would be basically just the ribbing. And I still have 2 full and 1 mostal skein. So I think that that indicates that I intended to make long sleeves when I bought the yarn. I also still have 5 full skeins of the purple. Now I still have to do the rest of the body, obviously, so some of that is going to go to that. And the inside of the pockets may be red or maybe purple. I don't know, but I'll find out when I get there. But I think that I intended to make long sleeves. Now I have seen that many people who have done long sleeves have added the color work right about here on the sleeve. I am not going to do that. I don't enjoy knitting color work enough to want to deal with that. I'm not sure how I'm going to do the change between, I'm not sure even if I am. I might do the sleeves all in red. I might do them all in purple. I don't know. Figure that out when I get there. But yeah, I do think that I will have enough to do sleeves. And what I'll probably do is I will finish the body. I will do the steek and the button band, get everything else done so that everything that I have left as far as yarn goes will go to the sleeves, and I will just make it happen until I run out of yarn or I finish the sleeves. And I'm really kind of glad that I'm going to do that with long sleeves, because I tried this on after I finished the color work, and it's fitting lovely, but it's not snug, let's just say. So right now with this extra steek, which is you can see with the picture, it's got a very narrow button band and these toggle buttons. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do a regular button band. So let's say that the button band is as wide as the steek section here. It fits roomy, not oversized, but roomy. So I think that would be perfect if it has long sleeves, to be almost like a coat sweater, because you know it's super bulky yarn, so it's heavy and thick and should be very warm, and I can wear it in place of a jacket. And if it's roomy, then that means that I can wear long sleeves or maybe even a light sweater underneath it, which will be perfect. So yes, that is my new focus. Now that I've gotten through the color work, which was what had caused me to stall just simply because it causes, color work demands your attention. Can't really knit it unless it's a very basic color work pattern. I can't really knit it while watching TV very well. I can either knit it really well and not watch TV very well, or I can watch TV very well and not knit very well. And so I spent a couple of days after work up here listening to, audiobooks or music and just focusing on the color work. And then this morning I think I had 6 rows left, and I just powered through. And so now that we've got the color work done, it's just basically stockinette again on big needles with big yarn, and so it should go fast. So yes, I do expect that by the time I podcast next, it'll be done, or at least the body will be done. Okay, so that is all of the whips I have. I have 3 next projects, runners up, what's the word? Coming up projects. One is the next pair of socks. Once I finish that Christmas sock, I'm going to cast on another pair of socks because, as I mentioned earlier, I like to have 2 pairs of socks going at one time. Decided that it's time for Ron to have another pair of socks, so I'm going to knit his next pair of socks out of this. This is Opal in their Sunrise line. The colorway is 9440. I think it's going to be beautiful. And I'm going to knit a pair of socks for Ron. So there's not a lot to be said about that. And then I have a shawl that I'm going to knit. I am going to knit the Tasting Menu. Tasting Menu is a pattern written by Tellybean Knits, Stephanie Lotvin of Tellybean Knits, and it was a surprise cal, a mystery cal that had been going on through January. I decided I wanted to make it, but I didn't want to make it in January because January is my busy season, and so I decided to go ahead and buy the pattern ahead of time, get all the clues when they came out, and then start it after. So I was going to show you that this is just the pattern. Because I did all the clues one at a time, the pattern is 85 pages long. I probably, had I been doing it one clue at a time, maybe might not have needed to print out quite as many pages, but c'est la vie. So you're supposed to get 1 full skein and then 9 minis, 20-gram minis. So I picked, and she did do, if you're interested in this, she did get different kits that she coordinated with Lolo Did It. So you can go onto Lolo Did It site and buy a kit for this pattern. Makes it easy. I did not want to buy a kit. I wanted to use stash, so I picked this Hugh Loco skein in the Phyllis sock. Colorway is Saltwater as my main color. I think it's beautiful. This is one of the ones I got, a couple of her mystery bags, grab bags. It was like, you got 3 or 4 skeins in it. It was a really good price. I got 2 of them, and this was one of the skeins that I got in that grab bag, and I love it. And then I also got 2 mini sets from Bigfoot Fibers, who is an indie dyer in Oklahoma, maybe? I don't know, but she's awesome. And actually, I was able to contact her because I said I wanted to use, I had one. I actually had this one, the Vintage Christmas. This is just the tag. But I had won the Vintage Christmas December 2018, and I thought several of the colors went really well, and I messaged her on Instagram. I said, can you help me with some others that you have? And she looked at the pattern, looked at what I had, looked at what she had, and suggested that I get the Mother's Day set. So I think it was great. It was perfect. It was so nice to have somebody who was familiar with the colors, you know, and not just going off of what she saw in photos, but she knew what colors they were. She and then sit there and tell me, you know, here's what I think goes with it. So in the vintage Christmas set, I had, these. Okay. And then in the Mother's Day set, I think were these. Okay. The Mother's Day set came with 6, 5, 5. They both came with 5. So I have 4 and then 3. And then I went and picked 2 out of some sock sets that I had just sitting over there. I thought they went really well. So that's what these 2 are. So this is my main color. And then you have your, like I said, 9 minis, and they're kind of set up in like sets of 3. So here's one set of minis. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I think that they go well with this. And since the cowl is finished, I'll post a picture. I'll try to post a picture of what the shawl is going to look like. So I am going to get started on that before too long, because I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be pretty, but I don't want to get started too soon, because I want to finish the sweater, and I don't want to get involved in something else that I get excited about and then put the sweater on hold. I really want to get that sweater finished. And then once I get the sweater finished, I am going to start the Camaro sweater. Camaro is a pattern by Tanis Lavallee of Tanis Fiber Arts, and I bought the yarn for it like 2017, maybe 2018, and have been waiting. There was a what's it called, a trunk show at my local yarn shop, which is Colorful Yarns in Centennial, and they had Nerdstring come and do a trunk show, and so I fell down at her shop. I was so excited. The colors were amazing. So I got 4 skeins of this beautiful ochre colorway. The color is called Good Day Sunshine, and then this will be the main color of the sweater. And then I got these 4 skeins for the stripes. These are Rhymes with Seal. That's clever. I don't remember that. Let's see. This one doesn't have a colorway name. I think this was just a one-of-a-kind. Isn't it beautiful, though? And then I've got Julep and this gorgeous orange that also doesn't have a colorway name, but is amazing. So, yeah, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do the stripes for the chevron portion, but those are going to be in it, and yeah, that's going to be the sweater. So that will be my next sweater to do. Really excited about it. I think it's going to be lovely. Okay, so some stash enhancements. I got 1 skein of sock yarn from my yarn shop. I just happened to be there yesterday and saw that they had the Fresha Frund opal. These fun colorways. I think it's a new line, and I just fell in love with them. You can kind of see here how it knits up. I just grabbed 1, and yeah, Fresha Frund. Trashafrund. I think you have to be able to speak German to know how to say that right. But yeah, this will go in my stash. And then the shop is having a sale, and so I could not pass up picking up this Kala bag, because look at it. Kala is one of my favorites. I have my purse that I carry is actually a Kala purse, and I just love what they do with them. These and Bungalow 360 are probably my two favorite bag makers, and this was like 40% off, so I grabbed it. It's a nice big bag. You could use it as a purse or whatever, but it's going to be a project bag for me for big projects. And this color, this orange, is my favorite, and I love teal and mustard and browns, and so yeah, makes me happy. Okay, so that is all the yarny content. I did want to talk just a tad bit about books. I like to tell you guys when I come across a book that I really like, when I've discovered something that I'm really excited about. This is not actually a book that I've recently discovered, but it is one that I am always excited about. I have recently been rereading The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. This is a series, this is a trilogy in 5 parts. It's a trilogy with 5 different books. Written by Douglas Adams in the 70s to like 79 to 92, I think was the year span for all 5 books. This is an omnibus that has all of them in it. They are The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, Life, Universe, and Everything, So Long and Thanks for All the Fish, and Mostly Harmless. It also has a bonus story in this one, but you can get the books separately. Like the science fiction of that era, the books are by themselves, 250, 300 pages, quick, easy reads, hilarious books. I've loved this series since I first read it, probably 25 years ago. It's just a great series, and I love reading them. I've read the first 3 books several times. Not as many times with the last 2, but he originally meant it to be a trilogy, decided to keep going, made it into a quintet, and then unfortunately passed away before he added any more. And I bring that up because Ewan Colfer, who wrote the Artemis Fowl series, decided to finish. I'm assuming, I haven't finished this book, so I'm assuming he's finishing the series for Adams. So this is And Another Thing, which is the 6th book of the trilogy. And as I said, it was written by Ewan Colfer. And I bought it with a healthy dose of suspicion. Like, I don't know if I'm really going to like this, but I'll give it a try, but I doubt he can hold a candle to Douglas Adams, blah, blah, blah. I am halfway through, and I have to say that I really think that he has done a splendid job in trying to keep with the feel of Douglas Adams' writing. And I'm impressed. And I'm enjoying it. I'm finding myself laughing along with it as I did with The Hitchhikers. So yeah, so I think it, so far, can't say for sure because I haven't finished it. It may end terribly, but so far, I think that it is a worthy addition to the trilogy. My one complaint is on the audio. The first book, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, is narrated by Stephen Fry, who does a great job. The next 4 books are narrated by Martin Freeman, who plays Arthur Dent, who is the main character in the series. He plays Arthur Dent in the movie that was put out, I don't know, maybe say 8 years ago. And he's like the epitome of Arthur Dent, and he does a great job with narrating the next 4 books. However, there's a completely different narrator for this book, and while if you were listening to them with space in between, it wouldn't be an issue, but because I finished Mostly Harmless and then went straight into this, it did irk me just a little bit, having different voices. As it did when I finished The Hitchhiker's Guide, and then went into The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, because I went from Stephen Fry to Martin Freeman. So, you know, just keep that in mind. But the audiobooks are great. They do a great job. Yeah, there are just some audiobook narrators that just bring life to the books. Stephen Fry and Martin Freeman are 2 of those. And I will say that the guy that's narrating this, I apologize, I don't know his name offhand. He is a good narrator. It's just his voices are different, you know. And that's just the way it goes. But yeah, so I would, if you are a fan of sci-fi and British humor, then you should check that out. And if you have already read the original trilogy, then I would suggest that you read that 6th book as well. So, yeah. Okay, guys, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and clean up my mess and wind some yarn so that I'm ready. Yeah. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Stay safe out there, and happy knitting. Bye.